got back into town from a family funeral. I'm Southern, which means I need to make us a comfort cake. Generally, the more devastating the death in the family is, the better the cake needs to be. So we need this cake to be very fabulous. I'm going to be using a recipe from Cupcake Project. It's titled Ultimate Vanilla Cake Recipe. Before anything else, I set out my eggs and butter ahead of time so they can reach room temperature. I need to start preparing the sugar first because we are using Madagascar vanilla bean and infusing the sugar with the vanilla bean. This specific package was not great. See how brittle it is? It's supposed to be more juicy, plump, but it's what I have, so it's what I'm using. We split the vanilla beans down the center, and then I use my hands to peel them open like this. And then I take my spoon and I scrape out the insides. That little inside part, that's what we're looking for. This is what the inside looks like when I'm done scraping it all out. I'm going to do that to one whole vanilla bean and add it to the sugar. The empty husks I put in a plastic bag because I'll use it for different stuff later. Once I've added all the vanilla bean into our sugar, I use my spoon to crush up any of the big chunks of vanilla bean, and I'll throw that whole container into a Ziploc bag. Now I'm going to grab my cake flour, 1 3/4 cup of my cake flour, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to whisk that together gently just to combine everything. Now that my sugar has had some time to marinate, I'm going to combine that with our other dry ingredients and mix all of those stuffs together. It's butter time, baby. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of unsalted room temperature butter and just mix that as best I can. It's going to be kind of clumpy. In a separate bowl, I'll throw in 2 eggs, 1/3 cup full fat sour cream, a 1/4 cup canola oil, a tablespoon of vanilla extract, and I'm going to whip all that stuff together. I just want all the ingredients well combined and it to be a smooth mix. Once that's done, I'm going to combine our dry ingredients with our wet ingredients, beating it on medium speed until it's combined. And then I'll start gently pouring in 2/3 of a cup of milk. This is whole milk and I'm mixing it on low speed, adding a little bit of milk at a time until it's well mixed. My batter should be looking pretty liquidy at this point. Then I'll grab my 2 round cake pans, add my little parchment, give her a little spritz of our spray, and evenly divide the mixture between the 2 pans. Give it a little shake to distribute it. Bake them at 350 for 20 to 25 minutes. Now we got to start working on our buttercream. This is a coffee buttercream recipe that I found from Sugar and Sparrow. I altered their recipe a little bit for a stronger coffee flavor. I started with 3 tablespoons of milk, 5 teaspoons of instant espresso powder, and whisked those together. I set that aside to start building the base of the buttercream. 1 cup of unsalted butter at room temperature, and I beat that on high for about 5 minutes until it could get it nice and creamy looking. The original recipe called for 3 1/2 cups of powdered sugar. I ended up using 2 cups of powdered sugar. I wanted a stronger coffee flavor, and I'm also not a huge fan of the texture that a lot of powdered sugar creates in a buttercream. Slowly adding that powdered sugar to the butter while mixing on low. Once that's pretty well combined, I'll add in my 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract, just a little pinch of salt. And now my favorite part, we get to start adding that milk and espresso mix that we made earlier into our buttercream. The smell in here is absolutely outrageous. It's butter, powdered sugar, and coffee smells. Girl, delicious. I can't quite explain why, but some instinct was telling me to whip up some espresso flavored toffee on my stove. So I used my regular old toffee recipe, and I usually use a couple tablespoons of water for that, and I mixed in some of the espresso powder into that water, and it turned out quite fabulous, girl. The cakes finished cooking a while ago, and they are completely cooled down. I even set them in the fridge for a little bit. This is my second time working with this specific cake recipe, and it turned out very fabulous this time. The wild card was this buttercream. I did a really thin layer of it between the 2 cake layers, and that was absolutely the right move. Once the cake was completely frosted, I took that toffee that we made and started busting her up into a really fine sandy texture, and pressed it along the bottom of the cake all the way around it. Also sprinkled some along the top as well. Some cakes are better at room temperature, some cakes are better warm. This is a cake that's better cold. I've been storing her in the fridge, and let me tell you, girl, we were comforted.